like I said, we are not going to put the percent in here as it reads in the problem. So 5%, we need to convert that to its decimal form. What is 5% as a decimal?
0.05.
Right, 0.05. Okay, that's really important that you remember to do that. Remember, percents are out of 100, just like a dollar has 100 cents in it. 5 cents is 0.05, not 0.5. That's 50. Okay, so be careful with that. 64, is that the part or the whole? Whole, good. So 64 goes here. Now, if you've never seen this triangle method before or don't know what to do now that we have the numbers in it, when the numbers are next to each other on the bottom part of the triangle, someone that remembers, can you tell us what do we do with those two numbers? You multiply them, right? So this is actually what you will do to solve the problem. 0.05 times 64. That is the problem you are solving. So 5% of 64, 5% is 1/20th of 100, 0.05. So 0.05 times 64, we get 3.2. That's your answer. Okay? If you don't change 5% to a decimal and you do 5 times 64, you end up getting a 320. If you read the problem again, that doesn't make any sense. How is 5% of 64 320? 5% is a fraction of 64. So it should be smaller, okay, not bigger. So that's something to keep in mind, okay? That's the first example. And that's, again, that's how you use that triangle, multiply. At all? Are you sure?
Yeah, look, 5 times 10 and it gets 5,120. My mom was like fiddling with this and I guess she
It just needs reset. Try it now. All right, let's try the next example. Okay, this one says 25% of what number is 42? 25 is our percent, but like I said, we're not going to put it in as 25. We're going to write it in as what? Right, 0.25. Okay, 0.25, that's a quarter. So we're trying to figure out a quarter of what number is 42. Okay, 42 is a quarter of something. Where does the 42 go? Part or whole? Right. Part, yeah. I think I said this yesterday, but remember, whatever comes after the word of is the whole, because that's like saying it's out of that total. And here we don't know, so that's the X. All right, so now we have two different parts of our triangle filled in this time. We have the part and the percentage. What do I do when I have the part up here and the percent down there? What do I do with those two, do you think? We're dividing, right? Part 42 divided by 0.25. Typing in that decimal is very, very important. Okay? And you end up getting 168, which makes sense. That's 42 times 4. A quarter is a fourth, so the whole should be 4 times greater than that. So that's what that is, right? Dividing by a quarter is the same thing as multiplying by 4. All right. Now, before we do the last one, a question that I got a couple times earlier today was, do I have to draw the triangle? The answer is only if you need it. Okay, so not for my sake. It's whatever you need to write down to help you understand this method. If that's drawing the triangle, great. If you want to draw the triangle but are bad at drawing, then just do this. Make a little T and use the 3 spaces. That way, without drawing the whole triangle, saves you a little time. Or if you don't need it, don't draw it, okay? The more times you do these problems, the better you'll get at them, and you might be able to solve them without drawing a triangle, and that's fine. Okay, and if that's the case for you, you're just gonna write down what you are doing on the calculator, what you're multiplying, what you're dividing. All right, last one that we're gonna do together, 7 is what percent of 40? Where does the 7 go in this triangle? The part, got it, and the 40 is the whole. Yeah, here's a case where we don't have the percent. We are missing the percent. So 7 is the part, 40 is the whole. This is when people ask me what percent they got on a test. This is how I tell you to calculate it. 7 divided by 40. Hopefully this never happens to any of you that you get a 7 out of 40. But if you divide 7 by 40, what do you get? Go ahead, Ryder. All right, now, that's what your calculator will tell you, 0.175. Remember, percents are fractions of 100. So 0.175 is not your percentage, that is your percentage as a decimal. How could I turn my decimal into a percent, Alice? We can move the decimal 2 spaces to the right, which is the same as multiplying by 100. So a little bit different, because this time we're going, instead of from a percent to a decimal, we're going from a decimal to a percent. So instead of dividing by 100, we're moving it 2 spaces to the left. We multiply by 100, which moves the decimal 2 spaces to the right. Okay, so if you ever want to know what percentage you get on a test, this is how you do it. Top number divided by the bottom number, enter times 100, okay? Really important, guys, that you hit enter before you multiply by 100, okay? Because sometimes some calculators will not follow the order of operations correctly if you don't type it in correctly. So you have to be careful. It just depends on the calculator. Some of them, if you have like a dollar store calculator, it may not be scientific, and therefore it doesn't know the order of operations. So you just have to be careful. I always suggest hitting enter and then multiplying by 100.
Texas.
Those are good. Those are scientific ones. Yeah. So those ones should know the order of operations. So you should be okay. All right. Here's what I would like for you guys to work on. Just a few practice problems. That way, if you have any questions, you can ask before we leave. So for you guys at home, instead of setting these up today, like I know yesterday I was just having you guys type in the setup for the proportions, I actually want you guys to solve these and type your answers, okay? I want you to use the triangle method. Part, percent, whole. Okay, so work on those. I'll give you guys about like 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll go over the answers. So you can just type them in as you get your answers. You do not have to wait till you get all 3 to type them. Okay? Here are our answers, and I will go over quick for each one how to get those. Most of us are good on the first one. If you miss the first one, chances are you put 84 as the whole, but it's actually the part. So you want to do 84 is the part, 0.75, and we're missing the whole. So that's 84 divided by 0.75. What? For the first one, yes.
Mrs. Heller?
The whole. Did somebody say my name?
Yeah. I see. I multiplied 84 times 75%, and I got a 63.
So if 84 was the whole, you would be correct. But since it says 84 is 75%, that means 84 is the part. Okay, so key to look for is whatever comes after the word of is the whole. Okay, so we don't know the whole, so that's why we would have to divide for that one. For the second one, it says what percent of 12? That means 12 is the whole and 15 is the part. So that would be like if you got a 15 out of 12 on a quiz, obviously you got some bonus points. 15 divided by 12 is 1.25. But you wouldn't say you got a 1.25%, right? You got a 125%. You got an extra quarter of the original score. You got 3 extra points, which is a quarter of 12. And the last one, what percent is 4% of 25? 25 is the whole. 4%, here's where we make most of our mistakes with this one, is 0.04. Like 4 cents is 0.04. 4% is 4 out of 100. 0.04. Okay, a lot of people like to do 0.4. That's 40. Okay. Question. So that's a good question. I'll explain.